Welcome back to the John Owen Movie Channel, all things movies, all the time. And today's video is going to be a review of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. So obviously this is going to contain huge, massive spoilers for the movie, so this is just a spoiler alert. Um, if you don't want to have the movie spoiled for you, just come back and watch this video at another time, and just come back and click back on the YouTube. Anyways, let's get right into it. These Lucasfilm Disney era Star Wars movies have been very decisive, to say the least, as far as fan opinion of them. And, I addressed that in my Rise of Skywalker video preview. And, where was I going with that? Oh, and then the reviews started coming in, and, they were mixed at best. And then, I kind of had my fears and doubts going into this movie, but, your opinion on these movies is going to be, heavily discussed, and there's going to be a lot of people that don't agree with you, so you might as well stand by it. And let me tell you, I freaking loved this movie, man. Every second I watched it, I was glued to the screen. Could not take my eyes off of it. And there's no way I could. I mean, I sat there and I loved every it was a huge roller coaster ride. And that's all that needs to be said from that standpoint. I mean, it was a blast to watch. Is it a perfect movie? No. Of course not. It is not a perfect movie. But none of these big blockbusters are going to, so that's an unrealistic expectation. Yeah, the whole thing about Snoke being a clone that Palpatine created, and the fact that Rey's parents are a nobody by choice because they were on the run from the Emperor, because, plot twist, Rey is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. Ooh, scary. It actually explains a lot. Explains why, she's able to pick up the Force so easily, and she does some other stuff in this movie that makes more sense because of that fact. Uh, Finn, Rey's, and Poe's little MacGuffin side quest adventure to find this dagger thing and the Sith Wayfinder wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but wasn't good either. So it's a neutral. Doesn't take away, doesn't hurt, doesn't add. So it's fine. Um, Palpatine's return to me kind of feels, I don't know, weird. For the story they were trying to tell, it makes sense, I guess. But it's they make it work. I just feel like the idea of bringing Palpatine in, period, does not work. Is not a good idea. So they did the best that they could, and I applaud them for that. Um, but this movie, not perfectly, but very, very well managed to tie The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, two very disconnected movies, together. And sorry that my lighting is so bad now. My light went out for some reason, so that's great. Um, but yeah, somehow kind of, and they did this by kind of basically being more of a sequel to The Force Awakens, and then soft retconning some of the things that they went with in The Last Jedi, which is not great storytelling, but it works. It works in the context of the movie. And also, it was a good, satisfying end to the saga for me personally. Now, I've read a lot of reviews saying how it was lazy and unjustified, and you know, you can't please everyone. I liked it. I thought it fit. Uh, you know, that's just me personally, though. Obviously, it's my opinion. I'm talking about it, anyways. But it. I feel like it was a great end to the sequel trilogy, and it was a great end to the saga. So, you know what? It overcame all of the hurdles I was scared it wasn't going to. So I applaud it for that. And I think one of the biggest reasons because of this, well, there's three really big reasons, and I'll tackle one each at a time. Ray to me has been definitely the most controversial of all of the not controversial as in she's been like bad or anything, but uh, one of the center points of the trilogy as far as fan opinion of it because yes, she does come off as a Mary Sue sometimes, and Daisy Ridley pours her heart into the performance as Ray. She's just been severely underwritten in Force Awakens and The Last Jedi because they're trying to keep her past such a mystery that they didn't develop her in other ways. But in this movie, they really develop her because everything's been coming to her so easy as far as her force powers that she never thought about it. She just did it or whatever. But after the reveal that she is Palpatine's granddaughter, because her dad is the son of Emperor Palpatine. Ugh, he's so scary in this movie. He's like, ugh, nasty. Uh, and then she accidentally uses Force Lightning when her and Kylo Ren get into a bout. She thought she killed Chewbacca. She didn't. Don't worry. She did not kill Chewbacca. She experiences real conflict because she, for the first time in these movies, is scared of her power. She is fearful. She experiences fear. The fear that her worst nightmare is going to come true, that she is going to fall to the dark side. She's going to sit on the throne, just like in her vision that she has in this movie. And that drives her to almost self-exile until Force Ghost Luke talks her, back into her spirits. And, it just showed the Rey that she doesn't need to do it all by herself because A, she can't, and B, there's people there for her. She doesn't have to be the singular galactic hero. And, when she teams up with Ben at the end, I'll get more into him on why I'm calling him Ben and not Kylo. And she has this really nice moment where all of the past Jedis, talk to her through their ghost or whatever, and then, she finds the strength to stand up to the Emperor and defeat him without slaying him or without striking him down. And apologize for the bootleg pictures. They came from Twitter. Not necessarily a lot of these screenshots going around the internet. Best what I could. She just goes on this really nice little arc where, she learns, where she experiences some real conflict, but then she overcomes it. Some actual character development. And then, she builds her own lightsaber and it's actually really cool because it's yellow. It's not red or blue, or red, blue, or green, unlike every other one. It's your Mace Windu, but only Mace can have the purple one. And I actually really liked her new lightsaber. I thought it was cool. It combined Luke's and Leia's. More on Leia's lightsaber in a minute. And she has this really nice moment where this lady asks her what her name is, and she says Rey, and the lady says, Rey what? And she looks over and says Force Ghost of Luke and Leia, and she says Rey Skywalker, and it's good. It's good. I like it. Almost would have preferred she just would have just been Rey, but that's like nitpicking. So it's fine. Totally fine. So they really rounded her out. Gave her something to deal with in this movie instead of just plot events. Personal. She had to deal with conflict within, and that was really nice. I really appreciated that. And ends with this beautiful shot of her and BB-8 on Tatooine at the farm that Luke was raised, and it's beautiful. It's nice. And this training sequence she had on this jungle planet was really awesome too. She has the helmet on, she's running and jumping. It's awesome. And just love. To me, Rey was kind of one of the weaker points of the sequel trilogy, but up until this movie, and she's still not perfect or the most well-written character ever, but now to me she's passable, more than passable. So kudos to the Rise of Skywalker for doing that for us. But speaking of well written characters, Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo. I've already talked about how much I love Kylo and how he's my favorite character from the sequel trilogy. But now he's right up there with Luke and Annie and Obi-Wan with my favorite characters in the entire saga. Period. After this movie, man, just his arc, and he goes through this new look, but then he takes off the helmet, and you know oh, I just love Kylo, man. I talked about how I wanted him to be juiced up from a power standpoint in this movie, and he was, man. I mean, he's plowing through people like it's nothing. But his most impressive power that he has in this movie is just how good his telepathy has gotten. I mean, him and Rey fight twice through this telepathy. I mean, he's gotten so good where he can take objects from somewhere else and like force transfer it. Like in the movie, he snatches a necklace off of Rey's neck, and they're so many systems apart. I mean, Rey's on like the other side of the galaxy or something like that, and then Kylo uses that necklace to find her, and that's crazy. Like that's how powerful Kylo Ren has gotten, and then just all of his return to Ben Solo stuff, and he has this really touching moment with basically a Force ghost of Han, but he's not a Force ghost, but kind of the very same concept. Uh, it's beautiful. It's awesome. And then like you can see the difference of him being Kylo versus Ben. Kylo's a hothead. He's arrogant. He's insecure. But when he's Ben, he's calm and cool and collected, and he's at peace internally. And I think that his arc, going from the bad guy and yada 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 to ultimately coming back as Ben Solo and teaming up with Rey to defeat the Emperor, and then okay, hold on, got ahead of myself. Just his whole redemption arc is just it's definitely one of the best arcs in Star Wars, probably right there with Anakin's and or Darth Vader, but it's one of the best written arcs in movie like that I've seen in a long time. Probably up there with likes of like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers in the MCU. I mean, like he's by far and away the best thing to come from the sequel trilogy. And the thing that just has driven all three of these movies and drives this movie so much, even more than those other two, is Rey and Kylo's relationship. Um, this is when they fight through Kylo's little force telepathy. It was really awesome. But their fight on the second Death Star in the water, it's one of the best lightsaber battles in the entire saga. I mean, it is amazing. It's almost like, to me, it's very similar to the Mustafar fight that Anakin and Obi-Wan had, except instead of lava, it's water, and there's not as much emotion. But this is a very emotional fight because Leia calls out to Ben in the middle of it, and that's what really turns him. And they go on this thing. This is where Kylo and Rey. This is where they decide that they need each other more than they originally thought. Like Rey kills Kylo right here, or delivers a very deathly blow. I mean, stabs him right through the chest through his stomach with his own lightsaber. And Rey realizes that's not right, that she needs Kylo, and she force heals him. I mean, I'm talking like a deadly wound. And from this point on, it's Kylo and Ren versus the world, man. Or Kylo and Rey versus the world. And then this moment right here, whenever Rey and Kylo, this is after Kylo gets thrown down this chamber tunnel thing, and Rey beats the Emperor, but it takes all of her life and all of her energy to do it, and she dies. And Kylo climbs out of the tunnel he just got thrown down. Force heals her just like he did earlier. And then when she comes back to life, they kiss. And I didn't think it was gonna go romance. And I'm not gonna say I didn't want it to, but I was like hoping maybe that one major opposite sex relationship in a movie would just not be romantic. But I was like, you know what? It's fine. And the thing that I really, really like, the biggest thing I like from this movie is that it's revealed that Kylo and Rey are what the Emperor calls a Force dyad, which basically means that they're one Force user split into two people. So they are, they are the other half of the other, they're each other's other half. And I think that was really beautiful and well done, and one of the best things to come from Star Wars, regardless of your opinion on the sequel trilogy. And I'm going to do a separate video on Kylo Ren's whole arc just because it's so amazing and it needs to be talked about more in depth, but I'm going to save that for another video. Uh, those are the three biggest things I liked about this movie, but some minor, more minor things that I liked was Finn and Poe's relationship. They actually had a lot of tension, which is kind of weird, but it kind of paid off later in the movie. And Finn is super sassy in this movie, man. Like, I liked Finn's return to a more prominent role. Still not like he was in The Force Awakens, but definitely a lot more than he was in The Last Jedi. And Finn's definitely force sensitive. There's several times in this movie where he can like sense it if Rey's in danger or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that's what he was trying to tell Rey. He never did, but I'm pretty sure that's what he was trying to tell him. And Leia got a surprisingly a lot more screen time than I originally thought she was. She made it a lot farther during the movie than I thought. Not because Leia doesn't deserve it, but because Carrie Fisher died. But her helping Ben come back to the light side, that last cry was really beautiful. And it is revealed that Luke trained Leia to be a Jedi, so she is a Jedi Master. And when Rey and Ben are fighting the Emperor, Ben uses Leia's, his mother's lightsaber, and that's really touching and beautiful. And it's just great. Chewbacca started crying though in this movie, then we all started crying, like everyone. CPTO actually has a nice little character arc in this movie, which is shocking. George's usually just stagnant or whatever, but it's fun. And this little guy, Bebop, or I don't remember his name, but he was super cute and awesome and really funny. Scene stealer, just like Baby Yoda. But overall, despite this movie's plot messiness at times, I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10. I enjoyed every second of this movie. It was super fun to watch. Watching Kylo's, arc come to a close was really satisfying. His death was really emotional, and that was probably when I got the saddest. Uh, I cried a little bit, just a little bit. Um, but this movie wrapped up everything beautifully, and I really liked the way it all ended. And I don't care if you don't like the movie. I like the movie. If you don't like it, that's fine. But I really did. So go watch it. Yeah, go watch it again. Or if you haven't watched it and just watched this anyways, go watch it. See for yourself. See what you have to say about it. So thank you for watching my video and come back next time. Thanks.